With recent flooding due to heavy rainfall, the Tennessee Department of Commerce and Insurance recommends people familiarize themselves with flood insurance. Why? Because your home could experience flood damage. Here to explain is Randy Hutchinson with the Better Business Bureau. When we're talking about this, really, we've seen some flooding ourselves, unfortunately, throughout the Mid-South of late.
And the Tennessee Department of Commerce and Insurance said familiarize, not necessarily saying buy, and I'm not here to shill for flood insurance, but they are saying certainly it's something you ought to consider. You know, FEMA maintains a map that shows the risk, low, moderate, high of an area being flooded. I looked at it. I find it a little hard to follow, but some key facts, regardless, they say that even if you're in a low or moderate area, you are more likely to experience flooding damage than fire damage over the next 30 years. Wow. 20% of flood claims come from areas that are outside the high-risk areas. And one of the things that they stress is where it can rain, it can flood, and that even an inch of water can do $25,000 of damage in a house, and yet relatively few. Memphis, about a little bit over 2% of the homes in Memphis have flood insurance, and that's the highest percentage of any city in Tennessee.
Which is so different. I think people assume, some think I've got homeowners insurance and that's enough. Yep. But if you have any kind of flood damage, like you said, water damage, that can be catastrophic for a house.
That's the key. People need to understand that a standard homeowners or renters policy does not cover flood damage. In fact, most flood damage policies are sold through a national program called the National Flood Insurance Program. Generally cost less than $400. If you want to buy it, there's a 30-day waiting period unless you buy it at the same time that you buy a new home. And if it's not available, if the national program is not available, you can talk to your agent about other programs, although the market's pretty limited for private insurance.
Now, avoiding scams in this factor, once the flood has become a problem for your house, well, what can you do at that point?
Of course, if it's going to flood or is flooding, have a plan, know the evacuation routes, keep your insurance up to date, contact your agent as soon as possible. Good to have pictures of the type of damage that have occurred. And when it comes to, we've talked about different flooding schemes, anytime there's any sort of a natural disaster, you want to be sure if you had damage, the contractor you picked to fix it is licensed, reputable, check them out with us. And there's always cars that are damaged in floods, and they end up showing back up on the market without the damage disclosed.
Right.
Good to buy from a reputable dealer, but if you're buying from somebody private, just be real careful.
The car thing is something you always talk about.
Happens all the time.
True. Yeah, it's hard to tell just by the naked eye. Thank you very much, Randy. We appreciate it.